Warning: the Savage Nation contains adult language, adult content, psychological nudity. Listener discretion is advised. And now, America's most exciting radio talk show, The Savage Nation, home of borders, language, culture. And here he is, author of Stop Mass Hysteria, Michael Savage.
It is the Savage Nation Friday edition. Michael Savage here, yours truly, the man who discovered how to identify a nation, borders, language, and culture in 1994. The man responsible for most of the language today surrounding immigration. The man responsible for the foundations of the Trump revolution. The most published and least quoted man in the media, I'm proud to say. And a man never called upon by anyone in any political party at any time for any favors, because they know they won't get them from me. So no, I am truly an independent. I carry no order for anyone. And I'm watching what's going on now before the elections. And what I realized is that this is life imitating art, something you may have learned in college. Life imitating art. And what I'm referring to is George Orwell's novel 1984. In the segment called 2 Minutes of Hate, Orwell was so far-seeing, he wrote about a thing called 2 Minutes of Hate, which was a daily period in which party members of the Society of Oceania were forced to watch a film depicting the party's enemies, notably Emmanuel Goldstein and his followers, and express their hatred for them for exactly 2 minutes. It was required. You had to sit and watch the film showing the party's enemies, notably Emmanuel Goldstein and his followers, and you had to express your hatred for them for exactly 2 minutes. If this is not what we're living through today, I was searching for where is this hatred coming from. And then I realized that Jeff Zucker and Phil Griffin of MSNBC, they're actually acting out the 2 minutes of hate. And their little marionettes encourage the foolish people who watch their channels to hate Trump and hate Trump's voters in their 2 minutes of hate. It's amazing, isn't it? So anyway, just a thought here. It's life imitating art here. Now, the illegal invasion is another question for me. I'm starting to get a sneaking feeling that, now I'm not saying they did it, because they're not smart enough or as organized enough to do it. But if you were a Republican strategist, and you know that there was a communist wave arising in America owing to a number of different reasons, and you had to stir up your base to vote, could you have done it in any better way than bringing in a marathon march of 10 to 20,000 illegal aliens, mainly young, strapping men with new clothing, threatening your country? I didn't say they did it. Please don't misinterpret it. But it's actually working only for the Republicans. It's not working for the Democrats. I'm just thinking out loud. If you were a political strategist, could you think of anything better to stir up the Eddies and Ediths out there than a march of 20,000 illegal aliens marching in from Honduras, El Salvador, Nicaragua, wherever they're coming from, through Mexico, threatening to invade your nation? I couldn't think of a better method of doing it. This is a form of mass hysteria, which I have written about, and it's inducing mass hysteria, and I think rightly so, by the way, because the country cannot absorb another 10 to 20,000 illegal aliens in one swoop, number one, and number two, they're basically illiterate in their own language. These are not professionals marching here to become dentists or doctors or architects or journalists. They're marching here simply for the welfare benefits and such, and everybody knows that. And we have so many poor people on the bottom, and it's only going to affect them. So, again, going back to the bigger picture of the 2 minutes of hate, I have no question for you on the issue. But I did look into the marathon march coming into the country. They call it a migrant caravan. I call it a marathon march. And I looked into who's behind it, who's funding them. It's very hard to find the names of the individuals who are funding them and are now suing the U.S. government. Did you hear about that one? I'm sure you did. The communists behind this invasion of America were just I guess put together by a bunch of lawyers. We don't know who their names are, but if I found their names and they're Americans, what I would do is immediately, I would charge them under the Espionage Act, and I would have them deported when they're found guilty. I don't care who they are. I don't care what university they teach at. I don't care what cloak they hide behind during the day. But a dozen illegal aliens traveling by foot from Honduras, well, it's not by foot. It's by motor car, by bus, by truck. They're coming in, they're organized. Filed a class action lawsuit yesterday against President Trump, the Department of Homeland Security, and others, claiming a violation of their due process under the Fifth Amendment. Now, the fact of the matter is they're not entitled to the Fifth Amendment because they're not citizens of this country. You all know the Fifth Amendment states that no person shall be compelled in any criminal case to be a witness against himself, nor be deprived of life, liberty, or property without due process of law. It has no application whatsoever. Fifth Amendment does not apply to illegal aliens. But 12 Honduran nationals, including 6 children, are listed as plaintiffs in the lawsuit. It was filed Thursday in the U.S. District Court of Washington, D.C. said it is widely known that Guatemala, Honduras, and El Salvador are undergoing a well-documented human rights crisis. The Central American migrant caravan now numbers, they say, 4,000. It's around 15 to 20. It's like the liars are telling us there are 11 million illegal aliens here. Since I began in radio, the number has been 11 million illegal aliens. I told you it was 33 million 5 years ago. My guesstimate now, it's hard to say how many illegals are here. How many are here? 50 to 60 million? Maybe more. So the suit is going to sue. We're going to sue us, basically. We're all being sued by the illegal aliens. And so we looked into the organization behind it, Nexus Derechos Humanos. Nexus Derechos Humanos. Human Rights Attorneys, Inc. One race, one community. That's almost like Hitler's Ein Volk. You know that one, Hitler's statement? This is really weird. These leftists are starting to ape the National Socialists under Hitler. Hitler's statement was, one nation, one people, one leader. Did you know that? Ein Volk? So now they're saying the same thing. This left-wing group is very much aping the National Socialist motto of the Third Reich. One race, one community? Well, that's the community of Nexus Derechos Humanos. And to understand this slogan, you have to understand what these lawyers are trying to do. And that is take over America through the courts. Now, what can we do about it? I guess support anyone who opposes illegal aliens. It's that simple. Now, who's behind Nexus Derechos Humanos? Who are the names? Well, I'm the only one in the media who actually did the hard work. I have to thank Clint and Jim. Who actually did this? You, Jim, Karen, Doug? Who did it? Come on, level with us. Who did the hard work? Clint Granberry gets the 4-star award. It's Granberry, not to be confused with Cranberry. Clint did this, and the names of the lawyers behind this anti-American group are Mario Williams, Lily Blantone, Jennifer Jones, Dallas LaPierre, and Andrew Tate. And they are all American born and bred lawyers, so-called civil rights lawyers. Graduated with honors from Morehouse College in poli-sci. That's like a degree in poli-sci, I suppose. You can't go lower than that. Then he got a law degree at Lewis and Clark in Portland, Oregon. That's Mr. Williams. Then the associate lawyer is Lily Blantone, graduated from the American University, Washington College of Law with her J.D., and from Appalachian State University, magna cum laude. Appalachian State University, magna cum laude in what, dental work? What's Appalachian State University? When you say Appalachia to me, it's poor people who can't get tooth implants. They're too expensive. If they even can afford anything in Appalachia, what they get are the things that your mother and grandfather used to have that you put in a jar next to you at night. You know how much implants cost today? You have any idea what an implant costs? I'm having one done on my lower tooth. It's going on for a year and a half. It's like $20,000. They can't afford that in Appalachia, let alone Honduras. Next lawyer is Jennifer Jones, civil rights attorney. Worked on federal and municipal levels. Dallas LaPierre, civil rights attorney. Graduated George Washington University Law School. Look what they're turning out of these law schools. Look how they turn out and churn out these leftist anti-Americans. Andrew Tate, medical malpractice in correctional settings, workplace discrimination, racial discrimination, sex-based discrimination, and judicial overreach. What a busy fellow Andrew Tate must be. So that's that story. And if you want to have your 2 minutes of hate, you can call me at 855-400-7282, 855-400-SAVAGE. Orwell saw it all. Did you miss the opening already? You have to repeat? Yeah, now it's time to repeat. I've been in the air 3 minutes, so I go back now. The 2 minutes of hate from George Orwell's novel 1984 was written to be a time period in which party members of the Society of Oceania were forced to watch a film depicting the party's enemies and express their hatred for them for exactly 2 minutes. So if you watch CNN, you get 2 minutes of hatred because they always make you hate people. Not so much Fox. They're more middle of the road in many ways, and they don't really specialize in that kind of 2 minutes of hate. And it's interesting, though, that Orwell picked the head of the enemy party to be a guy named Emmanuel Goldstein. I think that's really odd, given the amount of anti-Semitism that's flaring up in America right now. You know, that's another question that I almost don't want to touch on today, because I don't think I'm gonna get where I want to go with it. But why is there so much anti-Semitism all of a sudden in America? Why are Jews being picked on? That's the real question here. I mean, the knee-jerk answer is that because all of the left-wingers, seem to be of the Jewish faith. Well, that's a knee-jerk response, but that's because you don't know about the Jewish conservatives. And you also don't know that most left-wing Jewish people are not religious. Most of them don't believe in God. They have almost no religious affiliation. They're Jewish only by birth, not by any practice. That's been my experience. So, I can answer the question in my own way. I don't need people to call in. I don't want to get, pulled into the swamp of hatred here. Could you play Syncopated Clock for me right now? It's time for me to take a breather. Not a break. Don't you dare give me a break. That's what I'm talking about. That's what I'm talking about. Picture the young 11-year-old Savage in Queens, New York. After a hard day toiling in school, I would come home. I'd sit in front of a television set and watch the news, the 5 o'clock news, and they would always play the Syncopated Clock. Then I'd have a nice light dinner that my mother made for me before my father came home. Probably steak, meatloaf, something with meat, creamy potatoes, and then followed up with an ice cream dessert. Now, if I were to feed this diet to, let us say, an animal population to see if I could induce atherosclerosis, the animal would have been dead within 7 months. But owing to the fact that I've inherited some lucky set of genes, here I am making hell on earth for liberals with a brain.
Join the Savage Nation. Call now, 855-400-SAVAGE, 855-400-7282. Savage.
The Savage Nation is sponsored by Swiss America, the only company I trust with my financial future. Call 800-289-2640. Did you know today is Dia de los Muertos, another wonderful cultural experience for all the liberals in America who like to get down with ethnics. Whatever the ethnic holiday is, they get into the mood. Any American holiday like Christmas, no. No American holidays. George Washington's birthday, Lincoln's birthday. No. Christmas, no. But anything ethnic, they just get into the mood. Dia de los Muertos. You'll see some dopey liberals celebrating it today. Actually, Halloween is like Dia de los Muertos. Central and South regions by people of Mexican heritage. And they create altars to remember the dead. All right, that's nice. That's nice. We remember the dead. In America, we light candles to our dead, don't we? But don't they go a step further and actually sleep in graveyards if they're poor? Like to commune with the body down there? What do they actually do in the Day of the Dead? It's not a Mexican version of Halloween. It's somewhat related. It's a very rich and colorful tradition. Skulls, things like that. And I think if you were a true American and you weren't a bigot and you wanted to fit in with the crowd in the universities, you would be up on what the Day of the Dead is. It's really, they would say, a celebration of life. Children dance with skulls. They eat skull sugar molds. Very good for a child to expose a child to that kind of thing. Here it would be considered child abuse. I mean, if you had a child dance with caricatures of death or eat skull sugar molds, Child Protective Services would take the child away from you. But if it's a cultural thing, whoa, hands off. So today, I think, is that day already. We're here now. Dia de los Muertos. I wonder if the caravan of marchers is going to stop to celebrate their holiday somewhere along the way. Perhaps the ACLU can drop them care packages of stuff to go with it. I don't know what you do. I have no idea what you do with it. I'm a cultural anthropologist by training, so to me, all religions and all cultures are very interesting as such. If you look at it, traditions of people, fascinating. And, whatever, like they say, whatever floats your boat. You want to lay in a graveyard? Good for you. I mean, if it feels good, do it. You want to get down with the tomb? Go ahead, man. You want to get down with the tomb? You want to hug the earth and communicate with the ground? Go ahead. Go for it. You want to have skulls in your window? Why not? Lighten up the country. Lighten up this stiff white America. Dance with the skulls. Anyway, did you see the thing about Prince Charles jumping from one thing to the other? You know what I'm talking about, that doofus guy in England, the inheritance case, who never worked a day in his life. The guy is so helpless. It's said that he has valets who iron his shoelaces every morning. I said, no, this is too much. Iron his shoelaces every morning? Like things have to be lined up a certain way. I mean, that's ADD. I mean, OCD, whatever that is. I mean, I'm a neatness guy up to a point. But if you get that crazy, if you don't have a royal inheritance, you can't carry it off. My father always hated the royal family. See, he was from Russia. He hated royalists.
Join the Savage Nation. Call now. 85.
I hate the migrants and make believe I'm not. I know how it works. I know radio like the back of my hand, and I know the back of my hand well. But if you don't mind, after a quarter of a century of articulating the problems with open borders and the effect it has on our borders, language, and culture, if you don't mind, I don't think I want to talk about it. So I've tried to go in another direction. I see there's they jumped away already. They can't take it. And that's the way radio is. After 3 hours of a person who precedes me across America, who sucks whatever remnant of IQ is left in the talk radio listener, and I'm not so sure it's high to begin with, except for a percentile maybe of the 1%. The largest percentage of people who listen to talk radio religiously, if they listen to this guy for 3 straight hours, or whatever remnants of intelligence is in their brain at the beginning, there's nothing left at the end of those 3 hours other than they can only utter acronyms like MAGA or lock her up. They can't even finish a sentence. All they're capable of is going MAGA or lock her up. There's no capacity for discussion. So I don't know how this format survives with the constant appealing to the lowest common denominator. It gets lower and lower and lower by the day. Can't somebody offer a thought? Is there no one out there with a brain? Has the talk radio audience been limited only to, hero worshipers? What is this now? What is this becoming? Where's the conversation? Where's the dialogue? Where are the ideas, for God's sakes? So look, I could just do a show with no callers at all and just do my own show, and that's the end of it. I could read from my own books, sort of like a lobbying on my own part. No, what do they do in Congress when they don't want to take any votes? They stay up all night and talk. Whatever they have. Who? A pinochle? They play pinochle at night? Filibuster, right. Filibuster. They filibuster by talking all night. I could just do a show by reading from my books. I could just start with my first political book and read to the last political book, to the last sentence of the last political book. I'd have the same audience, if not larger. And if I'm going to ask you to call and you're calling with the same stuff every day, I can't take your call. Look what I've given you. Look at the richness that I have given you in the opening of this show compared to the normal putrid fare out there. And you don't want to talk about it. I can't help you. I don't know what to do. So I'm going to continue to do what I do and just, rap as I do. But I'm going to ask a leading question. Here's a question. If the Republicans lose seats in the House, as they will, but it's a bloodbath. Let's say it's a bloodbath of loss. not 5, not 10, but they lose like 80 seats. Let's say a real crasheroo. Who do you blame? Now I throw the number out, 855-407-282. But I do. I mean, if the Republicans lose like 80 seats, who are you going to blame? Who will you blame? Who will you blame? 855-407-282. WABC, Eric, line 8 from New York City. What's on your mind, Eric?
Yes, sir. Listen, real quick. I know you have a Challenger. I have one, too. I bought it when I got out of service in 1973. And I see God every time I'm cruising on that car alone.
You see God driving in a Dodge Challenger? That's funny. What do you mean, listening to the exhaust? Listening to the exhaust is like to you like an organ in the Sistine Chapel.
That's right. And I go to shows and cruises. I used to race the car. No, me and Betsy, we just cruise together. Anyway.
Who's Betsy? That's your dog or your wife?
That's the car.
Oh, it's a step further yet. You gave the car a name. I've done that.
Yeah. And
I named my blue S600 Mercedes. If you remember, I wrote a novel in which the character has a blue Mercedes, an S600, an old car of mine. I bought it in '08. V12 monster car, hand-built engine by Mercedes. I named it Wilhelm. I gave him a name.
German name, too, for a German car.
Well, Wilhelm's a good name. Isn't that the original name of Mayor de Blasio? Was Wilhelm?
Well, he's another story. Anyway, listen, the other thing was, I went to Barnes & Noble's one day for a reading thing with my grandson and my wife, and when it was over, I'm in the aisle, and I picked up your book. I think it was the one, The Liberalism and Mental Disorder. This guy came over to me, looked at me, and said, you could look at that book, you're going to get poisoned. Your mind is going to be poisoned. And he knocked it out of my hand and walked away.
Well, he was obviously a very tolerant liberal. Where was it? Did he teach at Columbia or NYU?
Excuse me?
Where did he teach, Columbia University or NYU? The guy who knocked the book out of your hand.
I don't know. He walked away when he did.
You know what? Let God seek vengeance. He will. In the end, God gets everyone. In the end, God gets everyone. I'm sending you stop mass hysteria because you're such a nice guy and because you got a book knocked out of your hand. And so now we're going to the next. I got callers on why anti-Semitism is increasing. I'm asking you, who will you blame if the Republicans take a bloodbath in the House, right? There's a lot of blame there's going to be. Wait till you see Wednesday. I'm not even looking forward to it. I can't believe what's going to come on Wednesday, right? Can you imagine what talk radio is going to be on Wednesday? Can you imagine what's going to happen on Wednesday? What's going to go on in this country? KSFO, Kenny, line 7. You're up on the Savage Nation. What's on your mind, Kenny?
Yeah, I think it's about time you snap out of it. The difference between this election and the last one was the president was calling you, and you were all excited. I blame the president. He hasn't.
I should snap out. Wait a minute, Kenny, hold on. Let's back up a bit. Snap out of what?
It seems, but the feeling you have is of depression or like mania when the president was calling you last.
Well, you think I'm depressed? You hear depression today? You're really an amazingly crazy person. I don't hear depression.
No, but your past week
Also, you must be a psychiatrist by training. You're that sensitive to my emotions and moods.
I just listened to you since Army Street.
Well, no, I'm glad you're a loyal listener, so you do know what I feel. So I should snap out of what exactly?
Just seems your train is running a lot slower than usual.
All right, then why don't you get off the train? Why don't you get off the train and join the
train?
And wait, join the migrant caravan of Rush Limbaugh listeners.
I can't. I got through that. It's like you say, not as entertaining, stimulating.
So okay, so you still find me entertaining and stimulating, but you don't like me anymore because I'm not bootlicking enough, carrying enough water. Is that it?
I think that because the president's not calling, every time you have a...
that's a very good question. Why is the president calling every show in America except this one? That's actually a mark of honor. It shows you that I'm totally independent. I thought about it last night. I realized he's called everybody in the media. He's been on everyone's show, even local shows. but he won't come on the show that made him president. And I said, why is that? That's actually a badge of honor.
Well, that's why when you asked me who to blame, I said for the president.
Well, I didn't say it would be the president, but I would say that who's ever advising him is committing a disastrous error, because it's this audience that put Donald Trump over the finish line. Now, if that pockmarked jerk who he hired to be his communications director from Fox News, that failure, that flop, that bum, that mook, if that guy is so tied to Sean Hannity that he's telling the president, oh, don't go on the Michael Savage show, and there's a bloodbath and they lose seats, I would blame the pockmarked mook.
Mutt.
That's right.
Blame them both.
I mean, if this guy is such a moron who's running his communications that he had put his vendettas and that of Sean Hannity, the most jealous man in the history of the media. Everyone knows about Sean Hannity. They know he's uneducated and he's terrified people will find out that he's just like a puppet. He was once good looking. He's lost his looks. He looks like Lou Costello. You know, hey, Abbott. He's looked like the little guy in the Abbott and Costello show. Hey, Abbott would mean Lou Costello with the part down the middle. There's nothing worse than an aging pretty boy who keeps looking at himself in the mirror saying, I still have it. But everyone's told me from the beginning he's terrified of you, Savage, because he knows he can't hold a candle to you, and he's afraid people will find out. He also knows I beat him on radio in New York for 3 years straight. So as a result of that, his best friend becomes communications director for the president, and so the president doesn't even know he's not calling the show. I'd be willing to help him if he wants to call a show, but he doesn't. So now I wear it as a badge of honor. What else should I do?
Well,
I'm glad you're such a loyal listener, that you know my moods and emotions better than my shrink does, because I don't have a shrink. That's why my shrink doesn't know my moods and emotions, because I don't have one. I would lie to you if I said I didn't go to a therapist once in a while. I do. I haven't in months, because I realize at a certain point, what are you going to get out of it? What do they know about you that you don't know about you? What are they going to tell you? Whatever you do is okay? Basically, they take the role of the confessional. A shrink takes the role of a priest in a confession booth, only it costs a lot more money. You have to make the donation. It comes right out of your billing. So whatever you do, they say, don't worry, it's okay. You have to accept yourself. What kind of advice is that? No matter what you do, it's okay? No, certain things are not okay. They're horrible. Certain things you do are terrible. No, it's not okay. And you know what's right and wrong. We need a guy to tell you you're right or wrong, right? Is there any value to psychotherapy these days? I don't even know. I'm not knocking it. I mean, hey, God bless you if it helps you. I know a guy, I can't mention who because he'll sue me. I knew his father very well. His father was an extremely successful man and made all his money on his own. Made a fortune. I can't even say the business because that's too close. That's a lawsuit. The father made a fortune. The son inherited money, never worked a day in his life, never did anything with himself. The last I checked, he must be in his 60s, 70s. He has been in psychotherapy for 45 years, 5 days a week. Never worked a day in his life. 45 years of psychotherapy, and he's done nothing with his life. So it's an indulgence, you know. I don't know, maybe it has a role for some people. Maybe they could be helpful in some ways. I don't know how. I'm not trying to knock a whole field, but, you know, what does it really do for people? But getting back to politics, it's all you want to talk about. And I don't. I actually don't. I can't wait till this election is over. God, I can't wait till next Wednesday. That's like Liberation Day for me. I talk about anything. Like I went on Instagram this morning, something new for me, and I put a picture up of my Dodge Hellcat engine, the Hemi engine. I thought someone would like it. You know, not a lot of people understand the beauty of engines. I'm one of those people who like engines. I like the cars. I like cars. I like the sound of engines. I can't stand electric cars. They're sneaky. They're very, very stealthy. They're like, electric cars are like liberals. They sneak up on you. And I think they're kind of dangerous because in an electric car, you could back up in the driveway and run your husband over and he wouldn't even know you're coming because he can't hear you. There's like a sneakiness about an electric car. I like an overt car that makes sounds. You know what I'm saying? All right, that's neither here nor there. I know you just want to hear the basics. Republicans good, Democrats bad. And you're not going to get that, so goodbye.
Join the Savage Nation. Call now.
If you have regular home security companies, you know it's like a bad cable company, right? Hours waiting for the technicians, then hours on the phone. And then when you can't take them anymore, you want out, they say, nope, sorry, you're stuck in a 3-year contract. And I told you don't need to get stuck anymore. If you're looking to protect your home, go with Simply Safe Home Security. They're real, and they're comprehensive in their protection of every window, door, and room in your home. It's beautifully designed. It looks good in your house. You'll actually want to use it. You can put it in yourself with a couple of simple tools. And using Simply Safe makes your home safer. It's that simple. There are backups in place to keep you safe, protecting your home even if you lose power, you lose your internet, or someone attacks the system. Best of all, you're going to get 24/7 monitoring with police and fire dispatch for just $15 a month. And unlike other home security companies, no long-term contracts with Simply Safe. It's the best around-the-clock protection you can find for the best price. So protect your home today. Get free shipping and free returns at simplysafesavage.com. That's simplysafesavage.com. Once again, simplysafesavage.com. Bones, Billy Bones. My favorite song when I get into a mood of this kind. It's a terrible version, like a broken record. Great version by Skip Henderson. But stop it because it's broken. What you're playing is broken. Stop it. Doesn't anyone listen to what they're playing? What a bad MP3 that is. It's broken. Oh, so going back to my opening show before we get to the next thing, we looked into the lawyers behind the migrant invasion, and they're called Nexus Derechos Humanos, and their motto is one race, one community. And it resonated with me in a way because I remember Hitler's statement was Ein Volk, ein Reich, ein Führer. Thanks, Larry. Ein Volk, ein Reich, ein Führer. So they're saying one race, one community. It is such... Do you understand what racism this is behind this migrant invasion? Look, I have studied this for 25 years, and I'm not going to get agitated again. It is racist to the core. There were groups like La Raza, which means the race. With all due respects to the Hispanic people, if a white man put out an organization called The Race, what would happen? You'd call him Nazi, fascist, nationalist. Well, now you got Hispanics saying one race. It's about their race. And then you had La Raza, the race. Not all races, not civil rights, one race. It was about racial supremacy of the Hispanic people. And when Obama was president, he had the head of La Raza, Cecilia Munoz. I'll never forget her name. She started out as a street radical running these L.A. groups. She wound up inside the White House of Obama. You never heard one peep out of the racists on CNN. Not one peep when they had the head of a racist organization called La Raza in the White House under Obama running policy. You didn't hear about that, did you? Because the media has been lying to you from the get-go. Do you understand this is real?
Join the Savage Nation. Call now.